A very good morning to all the students. Today we will be starting with the new chapter in our subject business study, chapter number 3, business environment. Previously we have done chapter number 1, that was management, in which we have covered all the features, importance, functions of management, level of management, and then chapter number 2, which deals with the principle of management, which we have gone through with all the principles given by Henry Fewell and F.W. Taylor. So today we will be starting with new chapter, that is chapter number 3, business environment. In this, today we will be covering the topic, the meaning and features of business environment. Now student, first of all, let's come discuss meaning of business environment. Business environment refers to the forces and institution outside the firm with which its member must deal to achieve the organization purpose. The forces can be in form of economical, social, political and technological, and institutions can be supplier, customer, competitor. Okay, so student, business environment is a combination of two words. One is business, another is environment. You all very well know what is business. Any activity in which we earn profit is known as business, and environment deals with surrounding. We can also say business surrounding. Basically, business is made up of various surroundings which are called business environment, and these surroundings are in two forms: internal factor and external factor. Internal factor are those factors which are in the control of a business, and external factors are those factors which are not in the control of business. And we can say that internal factors are all the institutions like supplier, customer, competitor. Any changes due to this can be handled by the business, but any changes that is done on background of external forces like economic, social, political, legal or technology, that cannot be handled by any business. Like for example, any change in bank rate, any change in increase of taxation, any change in the policies of business, custom duties, this cannot be modified by any business. They have to change their business as per these changes. So these are the external forces which affect the business boundaries, and the success of every business depend upon its internal management, but it may get affected by external forces also. So these factors are very essential for any business, and studying all these factors are known as business environment. We can also define business environment as a sum total of all the individual, institution, forces, whether it is internal or external, that are outside the country, outside the control of a business enterprises, but it affect the performance of any business is known as business environment. There can be many examples like change in taxation by government directly affect the business. Change in price by competitor affect the profit volume. Change in rules and regulations by government affect a business. So these are the changes definitely affect a business, and these changes we study under business environment. Now let's move towards the features of business environment. The first feature we have is totality of external forces. External forces, as I said, these are those factors which affect a business from outside, but they are beyond the control of business. Like, for example, social, political, technology. Right now, I've given the example of increase in taxation deals with economical factor, which are the external forces which are beyond the control of business. So this comes under totality of external forces. Second, we have specific and general forces. Specific forces are those forces which affect a business and its working day to day basis. It's affect a business directly. Specific forces we can give example of investor, behavior of consumer, supplier, competitor, investor. In general forces are those forces which affect the business organization indirectly. That means any changes that is at political level, social level, legal level, it represent the changes in all over the business sector. Those are known as general forces. Let me give you an example here. Like, if a government make any changes in rules and regulation of insurance policy, so that change will affect to only insurance sector, not the other business sectors like textile or cotton, yeah, retail business. Okay, so this is associated with specific. But if a government make any changes, means increase in taxation, that will affect all the sectors, whether it's insurance, banking, textile. So this is what the difference between specific and general forces. Specific means any change that's come in a way of investor, that come in the form of competitor, or change in demand of the customer for a particular segment. It will affect that segment only, not to the whole other sectors. But if then change has been made in rules and regulation or economic basis or social basis, that will affect the all sectors of business. Now, moving towards the third point, that is interrelativeness. Most of the external forces in the business environment are interrelated. Change in general forces lead to the change in specific forces. If there will be any change in specific general forces, that will definitely bring a change in specific forces. So it is related to all the factors. Okay, if means if there is any problem associated, like, see here example is given, increase awareness of healthcare has increased the demand of organic food and other roasted snacks or health products. Like in today, due to coronavirus, the health related things or items or things has been increased because the awareness of health has been increased. So a specific force affect all the forces, and every force is interrelated with each other. Okay, now moving towards the next, that is force, that is fourth feature of business environment, that is dynamic. Dynamic means changes. So business environment is dynamic in nature, which keep on changing because due to change in technology, consumer fashion, taste, dynamic is in nature, which bring changes in every phase. And this changes is a part of business environment. And a business, if they want to survive, they have to adopt these changes. Changes can be in a form of taste and preference of customer, change in technology. Like we can give example of technology sector. Technology sector introduces so many technologies of software. So we have to adopt that changes if they want to survive in the business. Such kind of changes deals with dynamic, and it make business environment as a dynamic factor. Then next we have is uncertainty, uncertain, which cannot be predicted. Business environment is unpredicted, as it is difficult to predict the future environmental changes. Live example right now, what is going on, like due to coronavirus, a whole lockdown was there, whole business was closed. It affected all the business and even the economic structure of our country. It was an uncertain incident which cannot be predicted. Such kind of situation is known as uncertainty, and this uncertainty is also one of the feature of business environment. One cannot predict the future happening. Next we have is complexity. Business environment is consist of various forces, as we have discussed previously, internal forces and even external forces. So for a business, it's very difficult to understand few forces, and it is extremely difficult to handle all the external forces, which create a which create misunderstanding and also make difficult for us to analyze this changes. That's why it's considered as a complexity. Seventh, we have relativity. Business environment is a relative concept whose impact different from country to country, region to region, and firm to firm. The nature of force and the impact on business organization of business is always different from country to country, because every country have their own rules and regulation for doing a business. Like I give you an example, the demand for purchasing of sari will be more in India in compared to US, because there's a need is more in India in compared to US. So every business is relative to each other, have their own rules and regulation, have their own different business organization from country to country, region to region, and area to area. So these were all the features of business environment. Now let's understand this by a case study. Now, the first master is a leading advertisement company in its industry. Recently, they had a meeting in which all the resources which were outside the control of organization were discussed. The organization wanted to maintain its supremacy in the market. They decided to break the meeting into two parts. In first part, customer, competitor, supplier were discussed, whereas in the second part, political, economical, social condition in the country were discussed. It was concluded that the company was doing extremely well in the domestic market and the client base was expanding. However, when the company performance in foreign market was evaluated, it was found that conditions were different in different countries. So the strategy adopted would have to be different. After the meeting, the company was looking forward to making new gains. Which features of business environment has been discussed in above case study, and also identify the lines. So student, there is a company which basically deals in advertisement company. Okay, they were conducted a meeting in which they were discussing the reasons which were outside the control of organization. Okay, now outside the control of organization, which features has been highlighted here? Totality of external forces. Because which are external forces? External forces are those forces which are beyond the control of any organization. Then what they did? They divided the meeting into two parts. One part will be dealing with the customer, competitor, and another will be dealing with the social economical factor. Now here we have second feature, specific and general, where any changes arises due to competitor, customer competitor, that is known as specific forces, and those which deals with the changes of economic, that deals with general forces. Now again, the company was doing very good in domestic area. It was performing very good in domestic market, but their performance in foreign market was not good. So that is relative. Relative means the conditions are different from country to country, regions to regions, area to area, firm to firm. मतलब company was doing good in domestic, their business was expanding, the client base was increasing, but in foreign market they were not doing so good. So here the feature that has been highlighted is relatively. So three features has been highlighted here. First is totality of external, then specific, and then relative. Hope by this case study all your concept had been clear. Okay, now next, some assignments I am giving to you which you have to complete today. And if you have any query, you can contact me between 6 to 7. Okay, complete this assignments in your registers. Thank you, students.